Hello everybody, this is Jason Pegler and I'm just here to talk to you again about this mental health writing and recovery seminar and really how important it is that you attend. For the last 10 years I've been leading the world in what I call mental health empowerment. That's giving a voice to people with mental illness by writing as a cathartic tool and publishing as an empowering model. It's been to my great satisfaction and pleasure that over 600 authors have been proud to be published by myself, being the owner of Chipmunkapublishing. And we've published over 900 manuscripts. There's still a long way to go to stop the humiliation of people with mental illness. So what I've done is I've really ramped up the possibilities for mental health empowerment. I've actually ramped it up so much so I want to offer you really just fantastic value. It's funny actually, because the other day I was at a Richard Bandler and Paul McKenna 2-day seminar, and Richard Bandler pulled me up on stage because I was the only person who was taking notes, or I was taking a lot of notes, and I think he wanted to help me, and he managed to really did help me for about 20 minutes and he took away the responsibility that I felt I had. I felt like I had the whole world on my shoulders, and it was really my fault if people were ill, mentally ill at all whatsoever. I've felt really obliged to give a voice to so many people so that I can save lives, because I know when I experienced manic depression myself at the age of 17, for 6 weeks I thought I was playing a computer game, and then I realised, oh my god, I'm in a psychiatric ward. The only thing I can do to get better is to create a Hollywood blockbuster movie to psychoanalyse myself and make myself better. That was in 1992, a long time ago, and I wanted to stop the humiliation I felt for being in there, for being in Coney Hill, as it was in Gloucester, in the loony bin, as they called it. I wanted to stop the humiliation I felt, and I wanted to stop the humiliation other people felt as well. And it was critical to stop the humiliation that everyone feels for having a mental illness. Especially with manic depression, but with everything, you go through these unbelievably, crazy experiences that seem euphoric, but really they're not good for you. Deep down you know that, but sometimes you can't help but let them fester. And so these experiences are really not that good for you deep down, but you're afraid to take responsibility for your life. I know I was. And what I found really was that writing just totally changed my life. It saved my life, because I found that I spent 6 months in a psychiatric ward the first time, and I can remember I went to a grammar school and things were going well. I was a school chess captain. I played rugby for Gloucester under 16s, and all was going really well. Took a couple of ecstasy tablets and I never came down. So I went from being doing quite well at school to I was going to take my Oxford University entrance exam. My whole life was completely blown upside down because I went off my head. And then after 6 months on the ward, the day they left, they said, oh, by the way, you've got manic depression. Never even heard of it before, I don't think. And they said, oh, it may or it may not happen again. And what happened to me? Well, I went through, saw a counsellor about once a week for a year, and I had to leave school early on a Friday, I think it was, and I left about lunchtime, so that was alright, I guess. And then I would speak to this guy for about an hour, and it just about all the problems I had and was I coping with it. And then just one day after about a year, I said, look, I'm not going to come and see you again. He said, well, I'm still here if you need you. So I was grateful at the time for someone to talk to, but it didn't really do anything. It didn't really help. You know, maybe I didn't help myself. Or maybe, so I believe now that, you know, maybe counselling doesn't really do much whatsoever. So, cut a long story short, I went back to school, did my A-levels, and I went down a year at school because I had so long off school. And it was embarrassing to go back to school. It's like, oh, there's Jace, there's a crazy one. No one would ever mention it to my face, really, or have a joke at me, because I was quite a big lad, you know, so no one actually ever mentioned it to my face at school. I'd tell you what though, when you do experience life in a psychiatric ward, anyone listening who's been there will know, you find out who your friends really are. And I discovered that I had, you know, 2 or 3 particularly, you know, 2 really, really great friends, and then some people I thought were my friends didn't really turn out to be that loyal. You know, so what happened to me, it made me more sensitive as a person. It made me grow up quicker as a human being. And I guess I'll always be grateful for that. It made me know thyself quicker. And it gave me a mission. It gave me a mission that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, which was somehow change the way the world thinks about my mental health, and why not everyone else's? Because what I felt was that when I was in ward and I was answering all these ridiculous questions about, you know, is life worth living, and I had my weekly meeting with a psychiatrist, or monthly ward round, and then weekly meetings, whatever it was. I was just asking these ridiculous questions. No one gave me a book like A Cat of Madness to read, to say, look, this is what you experience if you've got manic depression. Other people feel it as well. You're not on your own, and just get on with it. So that's why since 2002, what I've been trying to do is to get all the books in psychiatric wards around the world, in prisons and mental health wards with mental health staff, patients, mental health charities all around the world, homeless charities, you name it, just to get it out there, the message that, look, if you've got a mental illness, okay, you know, it's a horrible thing, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But if you have it, if you experience it and it happens, whether you think it's a social construct or not, or whatever, the reality is that you've got to deal with it, because something's happened to you and you're not part of the status quo anymore. You're officially, you know, kind of outclassed or outcast in a way. You know, it does feel like being outclassed as well, because you're suddenly not a human being anymore. You've suddenly got this label. So, but human beings are very resilient, and people are very, very, you know, people have the capacity to survive incredible things. You know, you hear stories about people who survive in concentration camps for several years, and they managed, you know, not be too badly affected mentally, because they have a vision, they have a goal in mind at the end, where they imagine being with their family again or something, and that blocks out all the torture, all the pain. And I guess this is kind of what happened with me in my own bipolar, but it took me a long time to recover. So between 1992 and the year 2000, I'd spent over a year in 5 different psychiatric wards, had 4 different episodes, but had been in 5 different psychiatric wards, over a year in the psychiatric wards, and 2 years suicidal. And, you know, I got to university, I ended up taking a degree in classical studies. When I went to university, I ended up drinking, being an alcoholic for a year, because I thought, well, I was crazy, I'll be the craziest drinker at university, and I'll just make a film script, you know, and then be the, you know, the next Quentin Tarantino I admired at the time. And then I had another transformation when I read Elizabeth Wurzel's Prozac Nation, which was a famous book on, and still is a famous book on, depression. And the thing is, I felt sorry for her at the end of the book. She was still unhappy. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, what kind of message is that sending to the world of mental illness? I mean, she's still, you know, desperately unhappy at the end of the book. Surely I could write something a bit more positive than that and make a difference. And I would find it cathartic as well, because I'd always like writing, and it would eventually get my film out quicker and all this kind of thing. So, I'd written a couple of film scripts when I was 19 years of age, and not really done much with them. I entered 1 or 2 competitions actually, and they said they didn't receive them. It was strange, bizarrely enough, at Manchester University. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that you know, I spent all this time kind of, you know, really living within my mental illness, and not out of it. I was self-manifesting it, and I wasn't really that much better until I started writing about my own experiences. I wrote for 2 weeks in the summer after I finished university, so that was July 1998, and I showed it to my girlfriend at the time and her friend, and one had schizophrenia, the other was bipolar, or manic depression as it was called then, and now we're bipolars, of course. And what the unbelievable thing was, you know, really, really unbelievable, was that they were so excited and so ecstatic that they were running up and down all around the house going, wow, that's exactly how I feel it too. That's it, that's the stigma that I feel, that's the humiliation that I feel, that's the way it is, you know. And it was, you know, I was saying, like, you know, how on earth do you live with a mental illness? You know, don't know, still trying to figure it out, don't know why, you know, all this kind of thing. And then for 2 years I was kind of in shock at what I'd done, and I knew that I would spend the rest of my life dedicating my life to understanding my own mental illness and trying to work out how I could make the world a better place, and how I could make a difference, and how I could, you know, make my own life successful, and all the rest of it. And I knew it was going to be through writing, and I thought, well, hang on, you know, that's a bit of a challenge. So then my last psychiatric admission was in April 2000, so a long time ago now. And what was I, 25 years of age then? I was in hospital in Chelsea, and then I moved to St Thomas's Hospital, which is near Westminster. So yeah, I moved to St Thomas's Hospital, and I was in the care for about 12 weeks, and I read this book, Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom, and I thought, crikey, this guy has been through so much more than me. He's turned out, you know, inspiring millions of people. Surely I've just got to toughen up. I got to toughen up and get on with it. So I'd got kicked out of my flat for, I think I painted my flatmate's carpet like blue or something, and lots of bizarre things going on. But eventually I got taken to a hostel for a while. I was very fortunate that I was given my own flat in in a bit of a gang area actually in Vauxhall, but it was good for me to have my own space, and looking back I was really lucky to have that. So I started writing. So what did I do? Well, I wrote for 12 weeks, and I wrote stream of consciousness style, and I just thought, right, I'm going to write the whole, my whole life down and just get everything off my chest, and I just loved doing it. I was just so happy doing it. I was, I was unwell as well. I was on lots of medication, but I just went for it, and I didn't hold back, and it was like reliving the moments of mania and depression, but also all a book can be really is a perception of how you feel at a moment in time. So that's what a great thing is about books, is because you can keep going back to having another perception of how you felt at a certain in time. So you can write as many books as you want, and if you've got a mental illness, or you've had a mental illness, and you're listening to this, I want to support you to keep publishing as many books as you want. You've just got to be focused enough to have the real focus to write 100 words explaining what your mental health experience is, what your condition is. Be committed to making a change in the world, being a leader, empowering other people with the condition that you have, and to get better, so that you can make a contribution and you can help people. And this is what this seminar is all about, because you may find that you just don't have the confidence. Well, if you come and spend a day with me, and I'll guarantee that you'll all have the confidence by the time you leave, and you can keep in touch, and I'll mentor you to finish your book as well. And I'm there really. That's what I do every day. That's my passion in life, because I know it works. It helps me, and it helps a lot of other people as well. Writing is a cathartic tool. Publishing is an empowering tool, and mental health empowerment is what I've created. And the great thing is, by coming to the seminar, you're going to experience all the personal development knowledge that I've gained over the since certainly the year 1999. I've been absolutely, totally obsessed even with personal development, and Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey. It's endless. There's so many good people out there to learn from. I've also been following all the best business models and entrepreneurs in history. I've modelled myself on Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, you name it. I've always been, really inspired by great leaders, people who invent great companies that offer great value, and I would just want to give everything. I just want to give everything that I have to you on that day, and more. I'm not going to hold back. And then what we'll get as well is we're going to get a little bit pumped up. We're just going to be smiling really. We don't want to disturb the other officers or anything. But what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit pumped up. We're just going to have a great time smiling, and just like kind of celebrating ourselves and our own experiences. And I think it's really, that's a great thing about it, because you can write a book on your own, and I can publish it, and then you can give a talk, and you know, when you, at your book launch, you can, you know, give a talk about why you write your book, and that's a great thing, you know, is real fun. And the local media can turn up and you can get publicity, and then you can get on the radio, you can get on the television, you can then get offered to, people will ask to pay, you know, to even pay you for interviews sometimes. You can position yourself so you can get paid to write articles about your own experiences, because you're a mental health expert by experience. And this is the future of the mental health movement, really, because, you know, within the NHS, all the services eventually are going to be run by people who have had the experiences, because there's no one who understands better about someone who's suffering with schizophrenia than someone else who has suffered from it. And there's no one who understands better how someone suffers with anorexia than someone else who's suffered from it. And there's no one who understands better someone who self-harms than someone who self-harmed themselves. So it really is the service user voice, and the voice of personal power, I think, is a nice way of describing it, because it is really about the power that you have to change your life, to take responsibility of your life. So within the seminar, these creative writing prompts are really important, and I feel that having me there to make sure you're in a positive state and in a happy state before you start writing, and then when you're writing, is crucial in whatever stage you are at your writing ability, and also it's complementary to whatever stage you're at your recovery as well. Of course, you have to take your own responsibility for your own recovery, but I can help you with your writing, and I can give you some pointers on your recovery as well. You know, your recovery is something you have to work on every day. I mean, even myself, it's something I work on every day, even though I call myself, I say that I was bipolar now, because I don't want it to own me, the label. You know, there's so many different things that can help. You know, make sure you get enough sleep, make sure you breathe properly, be physically fit, you know, have the right relationships, you know, work out your values in life, write down your goals, work out, you know, what you want to do with your life, and what contribution you want to make to the world, how you want to grow as a person, you know, how you can be fulfilled as a person. There's so many really crucial must-know techniques in developing your own recovery, and these are going to be reflected also in these creative writing prompts. So there's no reason, if you're really focused on the day, that you can't write several short poems or short stories, or a mixture of starting with, you know, with different writing prompts. I find this is what some people do, and the great thing is, if you pick a different one, if you pick a different one writing prompt each time, and that writing prompt complements an attribute or a skill, even a skill that is important for you to develop for your own well-being, then that's really good. And then you might find yourself that you're writing selected works of poems or something, or that you can even write several reports or books that by writing them and by focusing on them, then you've got your blueprint for your own well-being, your own ultimate well-being. And this is, you learn so much more when you're not on your own, and when you're with like-minded people who are also pushing themselves. And what I mean by pushing yourselves, I mean, we're going to be stretching ourselves as individuals on the day. We're going to be stretching ourselves as writers. We're going to be stretching ourselves as leaders. We're going to be stretching ourselves as people. We're going to be stretching ourselves as people with compassion, as team players with other people there. We're going to be stretching ourselves as carers as well, carers for other people with who have mental health experiences. So I really believe that in life that you can choose how you feel about things. And you hear this a lot in the personal development world, but with in the mental health world, I think it's going to be said more and more in the future. It's just so important, because I know from my own bad times that I wasn't stretching myself as a person, that accepting my bipolar, accepting that it could disable me so much was a reason for not getting up in the morning, not going out, not having friends, not getting a job, moaning, blaming others. And I mean, Jim Rohn says, stop the self-blame list. It's just so important. The reference Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, by the way. Check that guy out on YouTube. Sadly passed away now, but as incredible as ever. So I think it's crucial to take responsibility for your own mental health experiences. Take responsibility for your own mental health writing, your own recovery, and work out exactly how you can help yourself. Writing has been such an influential form for thousands of years, and it's just as influential as ever. It's so important that if you're creative and you feel an urge to write about what you've experienced, that you just go for it. You've just got to have the confidence to go for it, and don't listen to anyone else. Just go with your heart. Write what's in your heart. Be true to yourself, and it will work itself out. The story will work itself out. It'll even come to its own ending. I strongly advise that you have a title beforehand. I think that really, really helps. And you can even put the title at the bottom of the page. That might help you finish quicker. That's something that I do and find helpful as well. So I think it's, I just think it's really, really good of you to listen to me, and I really appreciate the time that you're spending, and I hope I'm offering value now. I've written quite a few books myself. I wrote A Can of Madness, then I wrote Curing Madness, then The Ultimate Guide to Wellbeing, then Mental Health Publishing and Empowerment, Mental Health Raps, Bipolar Recovery and NLP, to name but a few. One book that was really interesting, I think, is in order to help you put your writings together, is Curing Madness. Now, I think if I would have called that book Madness Cured, then it would have come out 2 years earlier. But because I called it Curing Madness, it was just as though it was a work in progress. So I never felt like I'd finished it. But because if I'd have written the title in the past tense, I think it would have got out quicker. That's a little, tip for you there. Because, every day, most days, I get emails from people who said, look, I've written this and that, I'm not sure what to do with it. And they might have written a few things. And I suggest, look, just put it in the selected works. And the best book I ever read for my A-levels was Cicero's Selected Works. He was a Roman orator around in 100 BC. And it's just fantastic. He's such an interesting person that he would have his political in this Selected Works, which was done by Penguin actually, and was an A-level text for us. What was in there was his treatise on old age, which was really good. Then there were some of his political speeches. I think there might have been some of his poetry in there. So there were several different things. So having read that, it gave me the confidence to think, well, with Curing Madness, I was finding it difficult to write a sequel to A Can of Madness. And I'd started several times, and I thought, well, okay, the first one was the first 25 years of my life, A Can of Madness. But then how can I write a memoir that's just 2 or 3 years old? It's not really can't be as interesting as the first 25 years. It's just not as long a time frame. So I thought, I know what I can do. When I was at university, I wrote a dissertation on Madness and Greek tragedy. I thought, well, I can put that in there. Then I wrote a few film scripts when I was 19. And I thought, well, I can put that in because I was still trying to understand the phenomenology of madness, or and understand my own health and madness in the world and all this kind of thing. So I thought I'll put that in there. And then I'd written some raps. So I thought, let's put one of the rap albums in there. And then I wrote some new content for it. And then what I found is when that came out, I felt such a release that my second book came out. I just immediately started writing something else, and it was. Then I had the confidence to write The Ultimate Guide to Wellbeing, which was showed how much Tony Robbins and Neuro-linguistic Programming had helped me recover, and how it helped me come off all the medication in liaison with my psychiatrist, I may add, who ended up being really loving the company and promoting the company. So thinking, it's really important in life that if you have an idea to do something, that you follow it through, because life's too short, and if you don't, then you don't want to look back and always regret it and think, I could have been a writer, I could have written a book, and God forbid, I could have got better from my mental illness. And writing is a great way of looking at yourself in front of a mirror and seeing that it's not all doom and gloom, and that you can recreate your destiny, and you can get your destiny back on track. And I urge you to really, really think about that, because and act on it. Take massive action on it, because if you don't, you'll be a victim of the law of diminishing intent, as Jim Rohn describes it so well. Have you ever thought about, have a think about a moment in your life when you had an opportunity and you didn't take it? How does that feel? Doesn't feel very good, does it? guarantee that the most likely time, that the strongest moments when you were most likely to take that opportunity was the second that you heard about it, the very second that you heard about it. So, you know, if you're listening to this for the first time and you haven't heard of this seminar, then just think about how much it can help you. And let me give you an example of why it works. One book that I wrote, the fourth book that I wrote, what I did is I decided to ask 20 Chipmunkapublishing authors how writing had helped them, and how writing was cathartic, and how publishing was empowering. And everyone wrote 500 words each, and then I wrote an explanation, a kind of deconstruction of what each person was saying. And it was no surprise to me, but very rewarding to see that what helped all the other authors was the same things that had helped me. And that is, you know, when you write, you feel creative, so you kind of, you know, you sort of kind of seize control of your madness, or you have control of your past experiences again, and you can make them a little bit better, if you like. The actual writing process itself is it's a state of being. So it's a state of, you know, you're in a heightened state of awareness, if you like, whilst you're writing, and it's a magical moment because you're. It's like you plug yourself out of the matrix, even, or into a new matrix, if you like, that many other people may never experience, because it's something very, very personal. And it can really help you understand yourself as well, understand the triggers that what made you mad, understand your relationships better, understand, you know, why you're friends with such and such a person, or also give you a reference to the timeline of your life and the significant moments in your life. And the more you understand about all of this, the more potential you have to move on as a person, so that the next time you have an opportunity to make a decision and do something different and make a 1 degree shift to make your life better one day, the more likely you are to seize the moment and to take action on it. So, you know, writing it is an incredible experience, and then publishing being an empowering one. Well, there's so many different reasons for this. It's different for different people, but there's some reasons that are the same, like I said. So publishing is an empowering thing because you've taken something from your imagination and you've put it onto the page, and it's got recognition. So it gives you recognition, it gives you the feeling of ownership over something, and it's like you've turned something bad into something good, into a product that can sell, and it can, you know, it can make you an income, make you some money, but also that it can give a contribution to other people and an insight for other people into their conditions, so they feel that they're not on their own as well. It's like a domino effect or a snowball effect even, because, you know, when you see your book for the first time, it's like, wow, you know, I'm an author. I remember someone emailed me the other day with a testimonial, and they said, before I was published, I used to meet people and say that I'd had a nervous breakdown, and then nobody wanted to talk to me. But now when people contact me, I can say I'm a writer, and they always want to know more. So just having a book out can reduce social inclusion in a way. It can make you an expert in the eyes of other people with mental illness, with also in the mental health community, in related communities, and this can give you so many different ways of making a revenue if you can take advantage of it. So you can get paid to give interviews, you can pay to write articles, you can get paid to give talks, and let's face it, you're going to get paid as much as you think you're worth. So if you don't think you're worth anything to give a talk, then you won't get paid for it. But if you think that you're worth £500 or £1,000 and you position yourself right, and you let people know about it, then that's what you'll get paid. And I think it's a great deal of confidence can come from just having your book launch and reading your book out in front of everyone. And the feeling that you get from that you've turned something negative into something positive, is priceless. It really, really is. It's such a confidence booster. And I can remember it clearly now when I had my book launch the first one in April 2002. It just made such a difference to how I felt about myself. And also, the reality is where you focus on life is where you end up. And if you can focus on being a writer, being published, being a mental health celebrity, making the world a better place, making a contribution, making yourself successful, making yourself well known, then that's a lot better space, a lot better place to be than in a psychiatric ward, socially excluded, with with not many friends, with no confidence, being anxious, getting paranoid and things like this. So you have to work at it every day. You have to pull yourself out of your mental health paralysis, and this is what this seminar is all about. And some people can just pull themselves out of it anyway if they keep working at it every day, and I ask those people to come as well, because then you can help me to help more people. And some people will see that there really is just a fantastic opportunity to grow by attending this seminar, and to reach out and really, really stretch yourself so that you can make a really big difference. And there's not many J.K. Rowlings or Stephen Kings, but no one will be prouder than me if we can, find 1, 10 or 100 of those through Chipmunkapublishing. I'll be over the moon. And I believe it will happen one day. I'm sure it will happen one day. We have to think about the future as well. So we have to think about what's the world going to be like when our children grow up, or when their children grow up, or our grandchildren grow up, or when we're around in our old age. We have to think about the mental health of the planet and how a kid's going to be educated in the future at school. How are students going to be educated at school, at university? How are young adults at work going to be educated about mental health? How in the future, if someone is stressed at work, how are they going to feel? What are companies going to do about people with mental illness? How are they going to give them opportunities? How are we as a mental health community going to make sure that we are making a contribution to the world? How are we going to make sure that we live in equilibrium? How are we going to make sure that we really doing our part in and leaving our legacy so that we live as equal people, you know, so that we have equal lives as everyone else. And this is the kind of thing that I've spent many, many years thinking about this. And I feel that I don't feel like it's my responsibility anymore. I feel it's the responsibility for all of us. And I believe in the universe, and I believe that we can plug into positive energy, and I plan on growing these seminars, so these events become much, much bigger, and they're going to be, you know, we're going to have interactive webinars and membership groups, selling products, training manuals, we're already doing. So and a lot more audio products, CDs and DVDs, and there's just a great opportunity. I mean, there's already over 50 Chipmunka authors have set up their own company and doing really well just by having the confidence to be published. So where I see things in the future, developing the mental health empowerment technology so that while we do more and more of these seminars and teach people to write positive things and publishing things, I'll be to the best people, I'll be rolling out another seminar, Unlimited Confidence, which transforms the way you think about yourself, so you can be a significant figure in the mental health industry as it grows, and contribute to helping not just a few people or a few hundred people or a few thousand people, but tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of people, and making your mark in the world so that if you did pass away and you were in heaven and an alien came up to you and go, hi, where are you from? You go, oh, I'm from Earth. Wow, Earth, what a great place. What a great place Earth is. What did you do when you were on Earth? Excuse me? What did you do on Earth? What contribution did you make? How did you make Earth a better place? How many people's lives did you impact? You see, so imagine you're right near the end of your life and you come face to face with the person that you wanted to become. Are you looking at yourself or are you looking at somebody else? That's a really important point. What I want from you listening to this is to understand how much I've been helped by writing and being published. It's totally transformed my life. I want you to understand how you can make the world a better place. How, by writing about different things, you can make the world a better place. how you can grow as a person, how if you come to this seminar, you will grow as a person, and how by coming to this seminar, you will make a bigger impact on humanity and your own personal development than you can possibly imagine. There's no one who wants to add value and help people with mental illness more than I do. And if you know anyone who's passionate about this, please tell them about this video, put them in touch with us at Chipmunka so that they can join us in contributing to the mental health debate, so that we can have equality for people with mental illness. We can stop the humiliation, we can stop the stigma, and we can find more mental health writers. This seminar is going to be an amazing event. And they're limited spaces. I have to keep the numbers down so there's great value, so that everyone there is focused enough, and I'm focused enough so that we get the most out of it. The more you prepare beforehand about what you want to write about, and the more you can gather your material together that you've written, the more you get out of it. The more you're prepared to stretch yourself on the day, the more you get out of it. The more focused you are on the day, the more you get out of it. The more compassionate you are for the other people in the group on the day, the more you get out of it as well. One other aspect to think of is, what do you want to achieve from writing? Do you want to become the next J.K. Rowling? Do you want to just write and give back to the mental health community in some way? Do you want to write and be published and have confidence set up your own business? Do you want to write and learn how to promote yourself and promote your own brand so you become self-employed and be successful through setting up your own social enterprise, business or charity to serve people with your condition? What do you want out of it? Tell me on the day what you're looking for and what you want out of it. And that's really important to think about that now. You can't just go in and think, oh yeah, well, I'd like to do that. You know, there's time. It hasn't started yet. So once you sign up for it, just think about, really think about what you want out of it. As I said, where you focus on is where you end up. So the more you focus about what you want, the more direction you have, the more specific you are, the more likely you're going to be successful in that area. If you don't write down what you want to be successful in, how are you going to know when you see it? How are you going to identify opportunities where you can capture it? Really think about what you want to get out of it. Also think about why you like writing. Why is it cathartic for you? How would publishing empower you? How could publishing empower you even more? And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it to empower you more? How can you leverage your experience, your time, your influence, your expertise, your skills, your knowledge? How can you leverage all these areas so you can be the best person that you can be? Rafa Nadal is a good example of someone with great motivation. Funnily enough, he never aimed to be the best tennis player in the world. In an interview I heard him give, he just said all he aims to be is to be the best that he can be and to improve every time he plays, because he has a laser-like focus. That is so focused. That's one of the reasons why he's become one of the greatest tennis players of all time. So I'm going to cut this off short soon. So I've told you a little bit about the seminar. I've told you how to prepare for the seminar. I've told you some more about mental health empowerment and what it can do. And I really, really urge you to sign up. You'll see a link below, and I really, really urge you to sign up. This is Jason signing out, and I wish you the best, and the best mental health to all of you. God bless.